What's up, guys? It's Kyle here, bringing you another deck profile. And today we're going to bring you a standard deck profile again. And the character is another 7th Cross character, one of my favorites, Dejanette. This chick is awesome. So let's just jump right into it. What does she do? She gets to start the game with 1 momentum. She gets to start with the game with 1 copy of Spell Circle in her hand. And we'll go over Spell Circle in a little while, but in her momentum. We'll go over Spell Circle after the attacks, but just know that starts in your momentum. She also, on the opponent's turn, can enhance, and then let me double check it. If you have at least 1 momentum, which you start with it, you get to look at the top of the opponent's deck, and you may discard it. Or sorry, the top of your deck, and you may discard it. So she gets to try to make sure that her blocks are going to check well, which is really, really cool. And then she can respond and discard a momentum, and after the opponent plays a card as a form, discard it. Your opponent may lose X vitality to add the discarded card back to their hand from their discard pile. X is equal to the number of characters in your staging area. So, obviously, being a 7th Cross character, it is a gauge character. So we're going to have 3 of her 1 dot, and that is what her 1 dot does. And we also have 4 of her 2 dot. And her 2 dot, after you stack it, says Enhance Comita Foundation. Your attack gains EXX. X is equal to the number of characters in your staging area. So up to EX7 in the current build, which is insane. And then first form, you can discard a momentum and look at the top X cards of the deck and place them in any order. X is equal to the number of characters in your staging area. That ability is also crazy. So basically, the idea behind this character is she's going to be generating a ton of momentum and stacking her characters so that she can either slap a bunch of speed onto some bomb or use that momentum to stack multiples of her checks and cancel out the opponent's attacks. Eventually, once your opponent gets low enough health, you basically just get to Princess parry their attack at the cost of 1 momentum, which is ridiculous. She's just all around a really, really strong character. And yeah, so that's the character. Now we will jump into our attack lineup. All right, so first off, this deck is going to be spicy. I love this build. It's really, really cool. It's an all build, and it is Detroit smashing. Yeah, All Might is coming to back up Dejanette. This card is awesome in her. So it's 6 mid 6 on a 6 diff. Checks a 2, so that kind of... The 2 sucks, but what you get is you can discard a momentum, and you can add up to 3 cards from your hand to your momentum. And then it already has Powerful 2 and EX2 on it. So, but this card just allows you to set up Dejanette instantly, and you start with momentum, so this card is active right out the gate, right? This card's incredible in this character. Detroit Smash Dejanette is really, really cool. So, 4 copies of Detroit Smash. And now we'll move on to our gauge attacks. We have 4 copies of Irradiate. It has gauge 5, and it says enhance, add 1 card from your discard pile to your hand with a printed difficulty of X or less. X is equal to the number of characters in your staging area. So this can potentially search attacks for you, which is really good when you've set it up well. It's just a really strong card, and it's got gauge 5 on top of that. And on top of that, you can enhance, reveal a character from your hand for 4 damage. This card's just real solid, and it can hit like a truck potentially, especially when you give it like EX4 or something. It's just a very good gauge attack for this deck. So 4 copies of Irradiate. 4 copies of Black Death. Gauge 5 again, and it has EX2 naturally on it. It says enhance discard of momentum. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and place them in any order. And then it also says enhance discard a card, draw a card. So it allows you to stack the draw for that and to stack some of your checks so that you at least know what's going on. And then it's got gauge 5. It's 5 mid 5. Just a solid gauge attack. So 4 copies of that. And to close out our gauge attacks, 4 copies of Affliction. It's a 2 mid block, breaker 1, always good. Has gauge 2, 4 mid for 2. This is a card that is trying to make it so that the opponent doesn't want to block it because it's so low damage. So that's kind of how its gauge is working out. And it says enhance name a card, reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card is a copy of the named card, you get to draw a card. And in a deck that is revealing top of the deck and rearranging order a lot, that's a very strong ability. And then it also says discard a momentum, draw a card, reveal the top card of your deck. So you can pitch a momentum, draw 1, reveal top, and then use the other ability to be able to get that card in your hand as well. Just all around a really solid gauge card, a nice little card to slap at the end of a chain and potentially get an extra gauge off. So 4 copies of that. And to close out our 19 attacks, 3 Precise Blow. This card's in a lot of decks that I play. Y'all know how good it is. When you block with it, you can seal the card you block and then stuff 1 into the opponent's pool. And then it's a reversal, 3 damage attack. If you block with it and reversal with it, it can potentially give itself 3 damage, so that's cool. But it's mainly a defensive piece. So 3 copies of Precise Blow. And that closes out our attacks. Actions, we have 1. Spell Circle. This card is awesome. So it says Void Enhance, which you have Void. Remove. Your opponent discards 1 card. If you're facing something that doesn't have discard hate, or doesn't have a lot of it, or you know they don't have it at the moment against you, that ability can potentially be really, really good. It also says Respond. Discard pile. Discard a card after the ready phase. Add 1 Spell Circle to your momentum. So this is the card that starts in the momentum. So basically every turn you can discard a card before you draw. Because the order is ready, review, draw. And then you get to add this to your momentum, which is really, really good. And it also says respond, remove from the game, remove a card in your hand from the game. Respond, remove from game pile, remove a card in your hand from the game. You can add a copy of this spell circle from your remove from game pile into your momentum. And that happens after the ready step as well. Both those abilities are insane. It just makes it so that you always have at least 1 momentum, which is crazy in this character. And the reason why we're not running 4 of this is because statically on its face, it says you can only have 1 in your deck. So that's the only reason we don't run 4 of this. Otherwise, this card would be a 4 of in basically everything. It's a crazy good card. So 1 copy of Spell Circle. And next, we'll move on to our foundations. First up, we have 4 Radiation. This card's really, really good in this deck, given that you can give EX to anything in this. So statically on its face, it says you may destroy this card as an additional... in addition to discarding momentum, in order to pay for an EX ability. That's incredibly good, because it allows you to save your momentum for Powerful on Detroit Smash, or just for discarding opponents' attacks. All around really good. And then it also says Enhance Card Pool, remove. if your printed hand size is less than your opponent's. So basically, if you're facing Taisei in this character, you get to draw a card. That ability will literally never come up, almost literally never come up. But it's good to know it's there. So 4 copies of Radiation. 4 copies of Specialist of Sound. Speed Hate is always good. This card is no exception. It says Respond Commit for -3 speed, and then after you check it, you can look at the top card of your deck and choose to discard it. Just more ways to know exactly what's on top of your deck. All around, just a really good card. So 4 copies of Specialist of Sound Waves. 4 copies of Telekinetic Mastery. It says Respond Flip. After you discard any number of cards due to your opponent's effects, commit one of their foundations and then draw a card. So it nullifies the discard, and you commit a foundation of your choice that's on their board. So that's a really strong discard hate. But then you also have Respond, check a 6. After your opponent increases the speed or damage of their attack, give +2 or give -2 speed or -2 damage. That ability is crazy good, especially when you have several 6s to check in this deck. So 4 copies of Telekinetic Mastery, just a solid card. 2 Ley Lines. Ley Lines is really, really mean in this deck. It can just help you get that little bit of extra EX that you need in order to, with 1, maybe 2 momentum, put your attack outside of the block range. So it says enhance lose a vitality for +1 to this attack's EX rating. Really, really good. And then it also says respond commit flip. After you play an EX ability, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, place them in any order, and then draw a card. So it just lets you search the top 2 cards of your deck for something you want and draw a card after you play an EX ability. Just all around a solid card. 2 low blocks, so solid zone. It's a great card. So 2 Ley Lines. 2 Burning with Revenge. I kind of want to bump it up to 3, but I'm trying out 2 for now. This card's really good. It's Stun Hate. After it's committed, you get to ready one of your due to a stun ability, you get to ready one of your foundations. So solid ability. If 2 of them are on the board, your opponent basically can't stun 1 you. They have to stun 3 you, which is really, really good. And then it also says enhance card pool. Your attack gets +2 damage, and you may build this card face down committed. Generally, the way I like to play this, if I'm doing this ability, is it's in the pool until the last attack, and then I'll build it down. Unless I naturally built it, then I'll just leave it there, because having it face up is better than having it face down, right? So, 2 copies of Burning with Revenge. 2 copies of Royal Bodyguard. This card's normal. Another card that I'm kind of debating jumping up to 3, but we'll see. This deck's pretty tight. Discard a momentum to stuff 1 card into your opponent's pool. Always good. Flip for minus damage equal number of cards in their pool. Really, really good, especially since you got a couple of card pool stuffing options. So, there's that. 1 copy of True Identity. It just says form for +1 to all your checks to play attacks for the rest of the turn. Solid card. Can be very useful when you're playing long strings, which can happen in this deck. So, 1 copy of True Identity. 1 copy of Wandering Pirate. It readies itself at the beginning of the opponent's combat phase, and twice per turn, if it is readied or committed, you can ready 1 foundation on your board that hasn't been readied this turn. Wandering Pirate's just a really good extension card, especially in a character that has a commit ability on its face. It's a really good card. What more can I say? So 1 copy of Wandering Pirate. 1 copy of Hacker Extraordinaire. It's a little bit of draw power if you need it, and it's asset hate, and it potentially generates you even more momentum, which is always good. So 1 copy of Hacker Extraordinaire. And now we will move on to our spam foundations. 4 copies of Preparing for Battle. This card's really good. It's another low block, which low blocks are a premium in Standard right now for a lot of decks. So having them is really good. And it's got Breaker 1, which is also good. And then it says Enhance, Commit, discard a card, draw a card. In a character that can stack the order of their foundations, you can basically, especially the number of foundations you can potentially, the number of cards you can potentially stack, you can potentially just like draw every attack for the next like 5 checks with this, which is really, really good. So 4 copies of that. 4 copies of Fei Fei, another low block, always good. And then it says flip for -3 speed. More speed hate. Speed hate is always important. So 4 copies of Fei Fei. 4 copies of Destined for whatever it's called. Destined for mainstream success. I'm sorry, my brain just shut down for a second. This card's really good in everything, in my opinion. You can pretty much always call attack and be good, but because you have so many options that allow you to like look at several cards in your deck and choose order, you can also just like really abuse this card in general. But just by allowing it to draw you into your attacks, draw you into the block you need, whatever it may be. So 4 copies of Destined for mainstream success. 2 copies of A Moment to Rest. Another card that I'm thinking about bumping up. I'm just not sure what I would change. This card's really, really good. It says Enhance, Flip. This attack gains gauge X. X is equal to its printed damage. You give that to like a 10-speed Detroit Smash. It's pretty much gonna gauge. So that's really good. And then it says Respond. Flip after you play a character card, you build it immediately down. So you can use this to like block with a character card and then build it down, as well as just naturally play it and build it down. This card's really good. It's good in basically every gauge character. So 2 copies of A Moment to Rest. 2 copies of Fusion of Souls. First form, check a 6. Add 1 character card from your discard pile to your hand. If you know you're going to need a mid block, this can help you get there. it can help you get there by grabbing a character out of your discard pile, so that's always good. The main reason we run it is for the Deadlock ability, because Deadlock is important to have. If your opponent sees you have no Deadlock, they will have no problem building into Deadlock and just doing whatever they want. So having Deadlock is extremely important. So Deadlock, Enhance, Flip, commit your opponent's character. Really, really strong. I think we all understand why that's really good. 2 copies of Saved by Elena, another card that we're running for the Deadlock ability, but its other ability's good. It says Commit, Flip, name a card. Both players shuffle all copies of the named card back into their deck. That can potentially annoy certain characters that are grabbing things out of their discard pile and moving things around. So that's good, but we mainly run it for the Deadlock. Deadlock, Enhance, check a 5, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. That is scary as hell in Dejanet, because it can basically just make it so that every single time the opponent attempts to play an attack, or every time you play an attack, generate a momentum, which is just insane in Dejanet. So 2 copies of Saved by Elena. And to close out our main board, 2 copies of Power Cycle. It's a 2 mid block, so that's really good. Respond card pool. After you block with this card, you get to ready a foundation, so more extension a little bit. And then it says Enhance your attack, commit, flip, add 1 card from your discard pile to your card pool. So you can use it to add the main thing you'll use that ability for is literally just to add what's it called? Burning with Revenge into your pool, just to help boost that little bit of damage. But there are a couple other plays you can potentially do with it. So 2 copies of Power Cycle. And next up, we'll finish out with the sideboard now. So 4 copies of Hellfire Despair. The Enhance will never come up. I guarantee it. It will never come up. But what will come up is Respond, Flip, After an attack is played, its damage cannot be modified. That can shut down so many cards in this game, including Shotgun, which is really, really important. And it's an extra low block if you're facing something that's low attack heavy. So 4 copies of that. 4 copies of Unlikely Romance. It says, enhance this attack gets +1 or -1 to its stun rating. You don't really have stun attacks in this deck, so that doesn't matter. The main reason you're sideboarding it is, it says respond, destroy. After your opponent plays an ability that would destroy any number of your foundations, cancel the effects. Playable while committed. It just allows you to make sure that your important cards aren't being blown up by things like Tagora Brothers, by things like Shigaraki's abilities. So 4 copies of that in the sideboard. And to close it out, 2 copies of Profane Sanctuary. If you're facing something that has a lot of breakers, or if you're facing something like I forgot his name, Jet from Cowboy Bebop, having anti-breaker is always good. And also, if you're facing something like, say, Dejanette, or any other character, really, that's stacking stuff, or looking at the tops of decks, or whatever it may be, having that extra mill-to is just always important to have. So, there we go. And that will close out the build. I hope you enjoyed, guys. I'm loving this deck. I was not expecting my Mimi Detroit Smash idea to work as well as it did, but it is. It's really, really cool. Thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.